What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today, I am going to be giving you every UFC division's next champion. Obviously, next champion, whoever beats the current champion in their division, whether that person fights them and beats them, or they retire and end up getting it into it wouldn't be an interim fight at that point. It would just be like a title fight off the retirement. But, I got some obvious ones that I think everybody already thinks is going to happen. Some, few that I might have to explain a little bit. And then one extreme hot take that I might lose some people on. I think I'm going to lose everybody on. But just hear me out. Just hear me out when we get to it. Trust me. I'm smart. I'm big brain. No matter how bad I am at predicting main events. I forgot my record, but I counted and I'm pretty sure I'm negative. But either way, doesn't matter. Let's get into this shit. We start off at flyweight. And I think Manel Kape will be your next flyweight champion. I think this is a pretty obvious one. Manel Kape, just a very good striker, very strong striker. And I think in the flyweight division, that's really big. I think having that in the flyweight division, especially because he also has at least a little bit of grappling, not like great grappling, but enough grappling to keep him on the feet and be able to use that power and technique. Knocking out the Gooch, knocking out Brandon Royval. How I think this is going to play out is I think he's going to sit around till after Pantoja Van 2, or I guess not 2. Well, I guess it is still technically 2 because they counted it as like a win for Van, so it technically is 2. But you know what I mean. Hopefully the first real fight for Van versus Pantoja. I think Van is going to take that. And then I think he's going to end up facing Manel Kape. Well, I do think Manel Kape will end up knocking him out. Obviously, Joshua Van, the only loss that I know of on his UFC record is Charles Johnson. Obviously, another person in the flyweight division with just insane power. The difference is Charles Johnson has like no skill or technique and is literally like a barely top 15. I mean, at this point, might just be unrankable. I mean, he's been on a down streak. But Manel Kape is a lot better than Charles Johnson. And Joshua Van just lets himself get hit too much. And if he lets himself get hit against Manel Kape, he's going out. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So, I think Manel Kape is honestly going to take this belt and might hold it for a bit. Because, I really think having power in the flyweight division like Kape, if it's not just roids and he's not going to, lose it after a bit, is honestly the strongest base for fly. Obviously, having at least some level of grappling, too. You can't just be negative grappling. But somebody like Kape, I think, is very dangerous. I think he's going to beat Van. And then I think really one of the only realistic people that could beat him would be, that guy that just beat Steve Erceg, who could honestly just knock him out back. I don't know how good his chin is, so, maybe Joshua Van could get the knockout before Kape gets it, but I just don't see that happening. So I think Manel Kape's going to end up beating Joshua Van to take the title after he beats Pantoja. Next, bantamweight division, we have Merab Dvalishvili. That's right, folks. I believe Merab Dvalishvili will be taking it in the trilogy. I think he will be getting the trilogy fight before anybody else. Even if he does, even let's just say they randomly give it to Sean O'Malley for no reason, I think Merab is going to beat whoever they give him next, and then he'll just get another title shot. And then if he's fighting Sean O'Malley, that's just a guaranteed win. I take Merab in that every day. It's Peter Yan that you have to worry about. And I honestly think the reason Merab lost... Now, I know he got 50-45, so I know saying this is kind of hard. But I think, honestly, the 4 title fights in a calendar year, really did him in. Merab just fought so much and gave... That year for the UFC was so good for Merab. I think literally he's in my top 10 favorite fighters because of that. I love Merab. I think he's going to come back... use a little more wrestling because he didn't use his wrestling as much in the last fight. Try to do a little more striking. He said he tried to make it interesting for the fans. I think that was a little bit of cope, but I think he's going to use the grappling a little more. Managed to take Yan in this trilogy, man. And I know that sounds crazy. I don't know how many people agree with me with that. I think people think Jan's honestly figured him out and don't think it's probably a little more 50-50 than I think. But I honestly think a lot of people think Yan is going to take that in the trilogy. But I will be taking Merab Dvalishvili to beat Yan in the trilogy. And then, once again, I see Merab holding this title for a while. Because I think Peter Yan is one of the few people in the division that honestly challenge Merab. Other than that, I know it sounds crazy, Peyton Talbot's like the next person I could see. Because if he beats O'Malley, or Yan, he beats O'Malley, he beats Sedong, he beats Umar. Like, he's already beaten every other, like, top 5 guy. The only person next up, really, is, like I said, Peyton Talbot. But, yeah, I think Merab's going to take it in the trilogy, boys. Trust me. Guys, we will be getting the title back. Trust me. I believe, guys. But, yeah, give me Merab in the trilogy. Next, the featherweight division. Gene Silva. Yeah, Gene Silva, obviously, very skilled striker. Obviously, also got grappling in him based on the fact he choked the fuck out of Bryce Mitchell. Man, this dude's just got power. What can I say? Obviously, Volk right now leading the charge. I think he will be beating Movsar Evlev when they make that title fight. Obviously, I'm going to expect them to make that title fight considering Volk's literally like asking for it pretty much. I do think Volkanovski will be winning that fight. And either between there, whether Gene Silva has another fight or he waits around and then fights Volk, I think whoever they give him next, I think he's going to beat. I don't really know anybody that I think Gene Silva would lose to other than like somehow for some dumbass reason they give him like a Diego Lopez rematch. But even then, I think he can obviously take that because he was doing really good against Diego Lopez. He just can't walk into a spinning back elbow. But, yeah, and then I think Volkanovski, sadly, if he doesn't retire after beating Movsar, will fight Gene Silva and end up getting chinned. Sadly, I really realistically think that's the only way to beat Volk in this division is fucking knock him out cold. And sadly, I think Gene Silva probably is really the only guy, not the only guy that can do that. There are guys that can probably drop Volk and put him out, but the only one that can knock him out, I think, honestly, with enough power to just put him out is Gene Silva. And I think that's going to happen. I think he's, like I said, either going to sit around till his fight, or he might get one more in there because he hasn't fought since, January? I think he fought in the Patty Gaethje card. So, I mean, it's been like, 6 months since he's fought. And if the Volk versus Evlev fight isn't until, like, November, September, November, that's going to be a long time to wait, bro. So, I'm hoping he might have a fight in between there. If he does, I think he'll take it, and I think he's going to end up knocking out Volk and maybe end up retiring him, which sounds very sad. I'm sorry, my Australians. Next, the lightweight division. Charles do Bronx Oliveira is coming back for the second time, boys. I'm calling it right here. Charles Oliveira, I believe, will be fighting Arman Sarukian. I don't think they've technically announced that fight yet, but they keep talking about it like it's pretty much happening, but I haven't seen it officially announced. I think if he fights Arman, when he fights Arman, he will be beating Arman in the rematch. Arman, saved by the bell, saved by his shorts in the first match. I think Charles, it sounds crazy, has evolved since then. I know it's crazy to think Charles evolving. He's already so skilled, but I think since then, Charles has really just perfected himself. Not getting knocked out by Ilya, we don't worry about that. We don't talk about that. Nobody do. What are you even talking about? Why'd you bring that up, bro? Shut the fuck up. But Charles Oliveira is just, God, he's just such a badass motherfucker. I think he will go out there, beat Arman, possibly submit him. Like I said, already had him close twice, maybe even 3 times. I think there was a third one he was close with. And then I think he's going to go out there and beat... Justin already said he's not fighting this year, so we'll have to wait till, who knows, maybe January next year, February next year. I think by then Charles will fight. He will beat Arman Sarukian. They will end up giving another title fight. The only other way I would see somebody else, I know is Patty versus somehow Deporia, and somehow Patty beats Deporia, and they give me a Justin versus Patty rematch, and I will be taking Patty again. But I think this is more realistic, and I think it's more likely to happen faster, obviously, because it's already kind of seems like like I said, it seems like this fight's been booked, but they're just not announced it yet. Maybe they'll wait till this card, or maybe 3:30, I don't know, fucking know, bro. But, yeah, I think Charles Oliveira is going to beat Arman Sarukian, submit him, go out, and then submit Justin Gaethje. The title run is back. Oliveira will hold 2 belts. I know the BMF title doesn't really matter anymore, but still, he will be a double belt holder because he is the baddest motherfucker in the lightweight division. Next, we go to welterweight. And I feel like I might have to do a little bit of talking on this one. Carlos Prates. And I know what y'all thinking. Well, why the fuck would you say Carlos Prates? You don't think he lost to Ian Gary. You think... Maybe it's not as clear. I don't know how much people think about this. But for one, I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat Ian Gary. After that, there's one of two things that are going to happen. He's going to either A, just retire after that, or he's going to fight Carlos or Michael Morales based on either if like Carlos and Michael fight each other and then basically, I don't know. He'll have like one more fight and Islam is going to retire. I think that's what's going to happen. I think Islam is going to retire on top of the welterweight division, and they're going to have a title fight between either Carlos and Ian 2 or Carlos and Morales if somehow like Ian loses to Islam and then somehow loses again to one of these two instead of somehow becoming, contention again. And I think Prates, if in the rematch with Ian, will find the chin, and I think Carlos Prates does meet Michael Morales. I am calling Carlos Prates. I don't think he beats Islam Makhachev. Let me make that clear. If he ends up getting a title fight against Islam, I don't think he wins that. How I think Carlos gets this belt is Islam is going to retire, and he will either fight Ian Gary or Michael Morales for the vacant title, and he will knock one of those motherfuckers out cold and become our true welterweight champion. And we will all be smoking a cigarette and drinking down a fucking Corona in the name of our boy. I don't even know if he drinks Corona. Normally I feel like he's drinking harder alcohol, but you know what I mean. We will be smoking a full pack for Carlos. It's going to happen, boys. God, I love him. Middleweight. This is honestly, these last, maybe not the last three, but the last three, all but light heavyweight, I think I'm going to have a lot of talking. This one's going to also, honestly, this one's also pretty rough. Middleweight division. Stay with me, boys. Joe, he's reaching Pyfer. You might be saying, Bob Boberson, you're a fucking retard. There's no way in hell you think Joey P is coming out there and winning this title. And you're wrong. How do I think it's going to happen? Well, one, Sean Strickland, obviously, I think is going to fight Imavov, and he's going to win. I think at the end of the day, I'm going to just put this in the simplest term. I think Joe Pyfer has the best, moveset to take this division. He has good wrestling and big knockout power. He can keep it on the feet with anybody, and the people he doesn't want to keep it on the feet with, I think he can take down and do what he wants with. I'm not exactly sure who will get the title. Like I said, I'm not... Obviously, it's not like he's next up for the belt. I guess if I was saying into the next title, I know exactly who's going to get the title. I think Sean Strickland is going to beat... I think Nasruddin Imavov already said he's been scheduled. Like, the UFC said he's guaranteed the next title fight. I think Sean Strickland will win that. I think by that time, Joe Pyfer will win another fight, or at least get scheduled for another fight at some point. Win another fight, get into range where he only needs one more for a title fight. I think maybe they might run DDP versus Sean 3. I'm not sure. If not, they'll run like a Joe Pyfer, maybe versus DDP number one contender fight. Who fucking knows? I could see that. That'd be crazy. And I think, either way, I think if Sean fights DDP again, I think Sean beats DDP. And I think Sean is going to hold the title either for the next title fight until Joe Pyfer gets enough wins, or he's going to win too. I think he'll beat Nasruddin Imavov and then DDP. And by that time, Joe Pyfer will have gotten 2 wins, maybe even 3, and managed to get himself a title fight against Sean Strickland, where Joe Pyfer is either going to wrestle, he might just wrestle ground and pound. I think Joe Pyfer, I don't know if you guys are following me here, honestly. I just think Joe Pyfer has the perfect skill set to get to the top of this middleweight division with his wrestling and his knockout power. And I think Sean Strickland is going to be the person he's going to fight when he gets to that title fight. I think the only person that, Joe Pyfer really has to worry about is Khamzat Chimaev, a pure wrestler. Because I think, like I said, I think if Joe Pyfer faces somebody that he really thinks he's not going to be able to strike against, he's going to be able to wrestle and beat them that way. So the only person I see beating him is somebody with better grappling and that can possibly hold him on the ground long enough to get a decision win. And I honestly don't even... I think he beat Chimaev. I know that sounds fucking wild. I think he beats Khamzat Chimaev. I feel like I sound insane right now. But I think Sean Strickland is going to hold the title till Joe Pyfer gets his shot. Or fuck, maybe even Sean Strickland retires. I doubt it. Sean Strickland doesn't seem like he's talked about retirement. He's not like super old. But like, fuck, who knows? Maybe Sean Strickland defends the belt once or twice, retires. Joe Pyfer goes in for a vacant title fight against Chimaev or DDP, and I think he takes it. I probably just lost everybody there. Please tell me you didn't leave. But I think Joe, he's reaching Pyfer, will be the next middleweight champion. Light heavyweight. Paulo Costa. Boys, it took all my strength not to put Yuri Prochazka here, but sadly I can't do it. Mostly because I just don't think he's going to have the speed to get it done. Because, maybe not. I don't know. Oberg sounds like he's going to be out for a while. I think Paulo Costa is going to probably get a fight either against Magomed Ankalaev or somebody that... Fuck, I guess it could be Yuri. I don't know. I feel bad about this pick now. Because honestly, if he fights Magomed Ankalaev, I take him. But I know I take Yuri against Paulo. I'm such a Yuri lover, bro. I always take Yuri over everybody. I think Yuri's just that good. I think Yuri still beats everybody in this division. Even Oberg again. I take him in the rematch. Please don't. I'm not biased. I swear to God. But what I think is going to happen is Paulo is going to get a fight with Magomed Ankalaev. He's going to beat Magomed Ankalaev. Maybe even in an interim title fight. Who knows? And then he's going to fight Carlos Ulberg, and Paulo Costa is going to beat Carlos Ulberg. I think Paulo Costa has the skill set to definitely beat Carlos Ulberg. I don't think he's somebody that's just going to run into that counter left hook. Amazing kicks. Just really seems like he might have found himself in this light heavyweight division. I'm super excited to see what this man can do outside of fighting. Because the one thing I do want to see him fight a light heavyweight that isn't a fat blob like Azamat Murzakanov, who I know is undefeated and is still really good. But I just want to see him fight somebody that's a little more, bulked up and muscly, a little more speedy. You know what I mean? Somebody that might be able to move their head a little bit more, or just might be able to move a little bit more in general, or you know what I mean. But I still think Paulo Costa is probably going to fight Magomed Ankalaev, win that fight, and then fight Carlos Ulberg and beat Carlos Ulberg. Thank you. We get to heavyweight. And boys, you remember where I was saying you're going to have to stay with me for an absolute wild take? And you probably thought it was the Joe Pyfer one. That one was just a hot take. This is scorching sun hot take. And I know it sounds crazy. And I need you all to not click off the video as soon as you hear and see what I say. Because I promise you it'll make sense. Your next heavyweight division, heavyweight champion, is Volter Walker. Okay, I'm sorry. I lost everybody. And you're all gone? Hello? Okay. Yeah, you're all gone. But I'm sorry. Volter Walker... I know it sounds crazy. Bob Iverson, we thought you were retarded with the Joe Pyfer pick. Now we know you're full-blown, on the spectrum, retarded, lacking. You might have had a lobotomy, honestly. You might be a lobotomized person giving us a, prediction video about titles. I promise you I'm not. Let me explain. Tom Aspinall is going to beat Cyril Gane. Tom Aspinall is then going to beat, I think, Alexander Volkov in the rematch, which I think Volkov will get eventually. If Tom Aspinall ends up fighting, I think he honestly probably will end up fighting Hokit, because I think they might give Hokit maybe probably one more fight and then a tie. They'll either give Hokit, honestly, I think he loses to Volkov, but I think they're going to give Hokit like one more fight, and if he wins that, they'll honestly give him a title fight. But I think Tom Aspinall beats Hokit. I think within that time, either one or two things are going to happen. Tom Aspinall is going to win those 3 and either still be champion, or he's going to quit MMA, be that retire or go boxing, because he's already talked about all the bullshit. And how, he's already kind of getting fucked over by the UFC. I think within that time, even though he's kind of a little inactive, I feel like, hopefully he'll get a little more active. I think Volter Walker will get, he still needs like 2 or 3 wins. I think he will get those 2 or 3 wins by submission. Because I think this division lacks a serious BJJ submission defense game. I think there's so many people in this division who would get caught in these fucking leg locks and heel hooks and other submissions that he might have, because all we see him is go for the leg. I know for a fact he probably has upper body submissions too. And the fact is, I think, even though his striking's kind of trash, I think a lot of these heavyweights are going to end up getting taken down, even though his takedowns are kind of crazy. And he's going to end up getting possibly 1 or 2 more fat fatties, be it, I don't fucking know. I just think he's going to get 2 more guys that aren't going to know how to defend these takedowns or, these leg locks. He's going to get 2 or 3 more submissions. He's going to, A, either fight Tom Aspinall or B, fight somebody for the vacant belt, be it Josh Hokett, fucking Gable Stevenson somehow, Volkov. And I think Volter Walker in either of those fights is going to get a heel hook finish to win the title. If it's against Tom, I don't know if y'all know this. Tom's only loss, other than, I think tearing his ACL against Curtis Blades, is via heel hook. You might be saying, Bob, you're retarded. Tom has good wrestling and can strike. I know. But I think Tom is going to underestimate Volter Walker if it's Tom. And if I think it's not Tom, that's even better, because I think it's going to be somebody with way worse wrestling defense. One of the only 3 people that Volter Walker really has to worry about, other than, I guess in the heavyweight, everybody hits so hard he has to worry about everybody. He could get knocked out by anybody before he gets the takedown, but I don't think he will. The people I think he really has to worry about are Josh Hokett, Tom Aspinall, I guess Curtis Blades, and Gable Stevenson. People that can wrestle and prevent them from getting into that heel hook position. But I think Volter Walker, as retarded as they may be, can get those heel hooks on all those motherfuckers. Because I still think all those motherfuckers aren't real trained and aren't real ready to deal with that shit. Boys, I may be retarded and I may not be, but I am calling Volter Walker as your next heavyweight champion via heel hook either on Tom Aspinall or for the vacant title. And you all unsubscribed, and I'm sorry for that. But anyway, boys, that is what I think for all your next division champs. We'll go over one more time. Flyweight, Manel Kape. Bantamweight, Merab Dvalishvili. Featherweight, Gene Silva. Lightweight, Charles Oliveira. Welterweight, Carlos Prates. Middleweight, Joe Pyfer. Light heavyweight, Paulo Costa. Heavyweight, Volter Walker. Those are your future champions. Some of them might be closer than you think. Some of them it might take a little bit. But I am calling it. I promise you I'm not a retard. These will be your next UFC champions for every division. Let me know what you guys thought of the video. I had a great time making it. Let me know if you have any suggestions for the future. I hope you guys have a good one.